Welcome back to American Nightmares, where the ordinary hides the unthinkable, and every shadow whispers a secret that could destroy you. Tonight, we dive into a chilling winter tale inspired by Rebecca Rowland's upcoming cosmic horror novel, Eminence Front, a story of an ancient malevolence unleashed by a brutal New England blizzard on a quiet neighborhood. Secrets unravel, sins are exposed, and something older than time listens and hungers. Buckle up, the snow is falling, and it's bringing hell with it.
The storm came without warning, as if the sky had been holding its breath for centuries and finally exhaled. In Willow Creek, a sleepy cul-de-sac on the outskirts of a small Massachusetts town, the first flakes drifted down around dusk on a Friday in late January. Residents noticed the unusual heaviness in the air, snow that clung like wet ash, muffling sounds, swallowing footsteps. Mark Hensley, a 42-year-old accountant who'd moved his family here for the quiet life, stood at his kitchen window watching the white curtain descend. His wife, Sarah, was upstairs putting their 8-year-old daughter, Lily, to bed. Mark sipped black coffee, staring at the streetlights haloed in swirling powder. He felt a strange itch in his ear, like someone had whispered his name from across the room. He shook his head, blamed the wind. Next door, the Carters, Tom, a retired cop with a bad knee, and his wife Ellen, who ran a small bakery, were arguing again. Tom had forgotten their anniversary. Ellen had found texts on his phone from a woman named Claire. The fight was low, vicious, the kind that had become routine. As snow piled against their windows, Ellen hissed, "You think I don't know what you've done?" Tom laughed bitterly. "You have no idea." Down the block, young couple Mia and Javier Ruz were hosting a small dinner party for neighbors. Mia, a graphic designer, had lit candles for ambiance. Javier, a high school history teacher, poured wine. Their guests included the quiet widow, Mrs. Langford, who lived alone since her husband died in a car accident years ago, and the reclusive writer, Daniel Voss, who rarely left his house. As the evening wore on, the power flickered but held. Conversation turned to the storm. "They say it's the worst in decades," Javier said. "Might trap us for days." Mrs. Langford smiled thinly. "Storms like this, they bring things out. Old things." No one laughed. The wind howled, rattling shutters. Mark Hensley couldn't sleep. Around 2 a.m., he slipped downstairs for water. The house was silent except for the furnace's low rumble. He passed Lily's room. Her nightlight cast soft blue shadows. In the kitchen, he filled a glass and turned and froze. Through the window, the snow had drifted into strange patterns on the lawn. Not random piles, but shapes, almost like faces pressed against the glass from outside, mouths open in silent screams. Mark blinked. The shapes dissolved into ordinary drifts. But the itch in his ear returned, sharper now. A voice, faint like wind through cracks. "Mark, you took the money from the client trust fund. Sarah doesn't know yet." He dropped the glass. It shattered on the tile. Across the street, Ellen Carter woke to the same whisper in her sleep. "Ellen, the pills you crushed into his coffee last winter. He didn't die of a heart attack. You made sure." She sat up, heart pounding. Tom snored beside her. The room felt colder than the blizzard outside. By morning, the snow was waist-deep in places. No plows had come. Roads were impassable. Cell service flickered in and out. The neighborhood was an island. People ventured out to shovel driveways, check on neighbors. Mark Hensley waved to Tom Carter, who was clearing his walk. Their eyes met, and both men felt it. Recognition. Not of each other, but of something shared. Guilt. Exposure. Mia Ruse found footprints in her backyard, not human, too large, too clawed, circling the house before vanishing into the white void. Javier laughed it off as wind distortion, but Mia saw something else. In the snow, etched faintly, words, "I know." Daniel Voss, the writer, hadn't slept. He sat at his desk, staring at a blank page. For years, he'd written about monsters, ancient, indifferent things that fed on human shame. Fiction, he told himself, but last night the words had come unbidden. The entity has no name, because names give power, and it needs none. It listens through the storm, through the wind, through the spaces between breaths. It hears what you buried deepest. He typed it, then deleted it. The itch in his ear grew unbearable. That afternoon, the first disappearance happened. Lily Hensley went missing. Sarah screamed from the backyard. Mark ran out. Lily's red mitten lay in the snow near the swing set, but the girl was gone. Tracks led into the woods behind the houses, small footprints, then nothing, as if she'd been lifted away. Search parties formed quickly, neighbors bundled up, flashlights cutting through the whiteout. Tom Carter took charge, old cop instincts kicking in. They called her name until throats were raw. Hours passed, no sign. Back at the Hensley house, Sarah sat wrapped in a blanket, rocking. Mark stood by the window, staring at the endless snow. The voice returned, louder. You were supposed to pick her up from school yesterday. You were with your mistress instead. Lily waited, alone. Mark pressed his palms to his ears. Stop, he whispered. But it didn't stop. Ellen Carter found Tom in the garage, staring at an old revolver. What are you doing? She asked. Tom looked up, eyes hollow. It knows, Ellen. It knows everything. She stepped closer. What does it know? He laughed, a broken sound. That I killed a man once, on duty, covered it up, and that you helped hide it. Ellen recoiled. The whisper had told her the same thing about him. Mrs. Langford sat alone in her living room, lights off. The storm had unearthed memories she'd buried for decades, the night she pushed her husband down the stairs after years of his abuse. The police called it an accident. She called it justice. Now the voice murmured, he screams still, in the dark. He wants company. She began to cry, not from fear, but relief. Finally, someone knew. As night fell again, the power died completely. Candles flickered in windows like dying stars, and the entity, vast, formless, older than stars, settled deeper into the neighborhood. It didn't need to move, it only needed to listen, and when it listened, it fed. The whispers grew into conversations, secrets spilled from lips that hadn't meant to speak them. Husbands confessed affairs, wives admitted betrayals, parents revealed neglect, neighbors uncovered lies long buried. The snow kept falling, and the neighborhood began to fracture.
With no power, no escape, the cul-de-sac became a pressure cooker. Flashlights dimmed, batteries failed. People gathered in the Ruiz house, the largest with a fireplace, sharing what little food and warmth remained. Mia tried to keep spirits up. We'll dig out tomorrow, plows will come. But no one believed her. Mark Hensley hadn't spoken since Lily vanished. He sat in a corner, staring at nothing. Sarah alternated between sobs and accusations. You were supposed to be there for her. Tom Carter paced. We need to organize, search grids, supplies. Ellen watched him, suspicion in her eyes. The whispers had revealed more. Tom's Claire wasn't just an affair. She'd been blackmailing him about the old shooting. Daniel Voss arrived late, coat dusted white. He carried a notebook. I've been writing, he said quietly, about what's happening. He read aloud. It is not a demon. Demons have motives, bargains. This is older. It is the silence between heartbeats, the regret that never dies. It wears the storm like skin, and it hungers for confession. The room went still. Mrs. Langford nodded slowly. My husband, he comes to me at night, not a ghost, something wearing his face, whispering what I did. Javier crossed himself. This is madness, cabin fever. But then the whispers started again. Audible now, not just in ears, but in the air. Soft, layered voices overlapping, names, dates, sins. Mia clutched Javier's hand. Do you hear that? Everyone did. Tom stood. We have to talk, all of us, get it out. Maybe that's what it wants. So they did. Mark confessed first. The embezzlement, the affair,
how he'd neglected Lily that day. Sarah confessed her own secret. She'd been planning to leave Mark, take Lily, start over. She'd even hidden money. Ellen admitted poisoning Tom's first wife years ago. Slow, careful, undetectable. Tom had suspected but said nothing. In return, he confessed covering murders on the force, taking bribes. Mrs. Langford spoke of the stairs, the push, the lie. Daniel Voss revealed he'd plagiarized his best-selling novel from a dead friend's manuscript. The friend had killed himself after. Javier admitted he'd cheated on Mia once, years ago. Mia confessed she'd known and stayed silent, using it as leverage in arguments. The confessions poured out like blood from wounds. With each one, the storm seemed to ease slightly, winds dropping, snow thinning. But then, the entity spoke back, not in whispers, in voices, their own voices. Mark heard Lily's voice. "Daddy, why didn't you come?" Sarah heard her mother's voice, long dead. "You were always weak." Tom heard the dead suspect. "You shot me in the back." The room filled with overlapping accusations. People screamed, covered ears. Daniel Voss stood. "It's not feeding on the secrets, it's feeding on the shame. The more we confess, the stronger it gets, because shame is endless." He was right. Outside, shapes moved in the snow, tall, thin, eyeless, listening. Lily's mitten reappeared on the porch, but now stained red. The group splintered. Some barricaded in rooms, others wandered into the storm, drawn by voices promising release. Tom and Ellen fought, physically, over old lies, blood on the carpet. Mark ran outside, calling for Lily. He vanished into white. Sarah followed, screaming. Mrs. Langford sat by the fire, smiling as the voices told her she deserved peace. She walked into the snow, barefoot. Daniel Voss wrote furiously by candlelight. "The entity has no end because regret has no end. It is the echo of every wrong, amplified, and in this neighborhood it found a feast." By dawn, half of the group was gone. The survivors huddled, silent now. Speaking invited more, but silence invited something worse.
Remained in the Ruiz house. Mia and Javier, Tom and Ellen, bruised, wary, and Daniel Voss. No one spoke of the missing. To name them was to invite their voices back. Mia found food dwindling. "We have to get out. Dig to the main road." Javier nodded. "Before it starts again." But as they prepared, the whispers returned, softer, almost seductive. "Come outside. Find peace. Confess one last time." Tom stood at the door. "I can't take this." Ellen grabbed his arm. "Don't." He shook her off. "What else is there? We all die here anyway." He opened the door. Cold rushed in like a blade. Outside, the snow had formed a perfect circle in the cul-de-sac, clear as if swept. In the center, figures, not people, echoes. Lily, smiling. Tom's victims. Ellen's poisoned wife. Mrs. Langford's husband. Mark, Sarah, others. They beckoned. Tom stepped forward. Ellen screamed, "No!" But he walked into the circle. The figures embraced him. His body slumped. Snow covered him instantly. Ellen fell to her knees. "I did this. All of it." The circle widened. Daniel Voss stepped out next. "I understand now. It's not punishment. It's consumption. We feed it our humanity, piece by piece." He joined the circle, vanished. Mia and Javier clung together. "We leave. Now." They bundled up, grabbed shovels, forced the front door open wider. They dug, frantic, muscles burning. Hours passed. A tunnel formed. As they neared the edge of the cul-de-sac, the whispers became a chorus. "Stay. Confess. Be free." Javier faltered. "Mia, I never told you everything. There was more than once." Mia turned. "Don't. Not now." But he spoke.
Details, painful, raw. The snow shifted, shapes rose. Mia pushed him forward. Run! They ran through the tunnel, into open road, plow lights in distance. Behind them, the cul-de-sac vanished in whiteout. They collapsed on asphalt as rescuers arrived. Later, in hospital, Mia asked Javier, "Did you hear it stop?" He nodded. "When we stopped confessing, when we chose to live instead of purge." But in quiet moments, they still felt the itch, and sometimes in snow they heard faint voices. The entity waited, patient, eternal, for the next storm, for the next neighborhood, for the next secret.